justice isn't ours to give, that we can just release that to whose job that actually is. That was good. We all need to hear that. For our next preacher, she is so full of talent. It's just so cool to watch her in anything she does. She's probably got the most going on out of most of us, I would say, and she has a van to prove it of all the little lives that she totes around. I'm just so blown away at the mother she is, the wife she is, the worship leader she is, what she pours into theater. Like, I don't know where all of her energy comes from, but it does, and well, I do. But let's bring up Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Like, isn't this internship just mind-blowing, you guys? So grateful to be here and just to be able to, speak into some of the things that God has really been speaking to me about. First, I want to honor our lead pastors, Pastor Jurgen and Leanne, for leading with such grace, but also for teaching me what it means to stand up in truth. And honor. I think that's so incredible. Just giving us the opportunity to be courageous and stand up and speak, and to speak the truth, and not be afraid of it or ashamed of it. So I love that about them. I also have to give a shout out to Pastor Mark. I love him so much. He is one of my mentors and supervisors, and he's really taught me how to be courageous and to stand up and to actually talk to me about things that are a little bit uncomfortable. So thanks, Pastor Mark. And then I want to give honor to Pastor Paul Anderberg. He's amazing. I don't even know if he's a pastor, but he should be if he's not. But he is like a living example of excellence, but also of what it really truly means to follow Jesus. So just love him and love you if you're watching. I really wanted to talk today about sacrifice. And so when I started thinking about sacrifice, it led me, have you guys ever seen like the boards on a detective's wall where there's like all these things that are like, here's some proof and here's some evidence and here's this point, that point, everything else? That's what I envision when I visualize like what I went through coming up with this preach. Because there's so many things that are in the Bible that are all around us that talk about sacrifice. So when I talk about that, I come to what it was like looking into this. So I'm looking at Jesus's life, and I'm looking at the ultimate sacrifice, right? He gave his life for us, so that we can be in connection with God here on earth, and so that we can live in eternity with God when we die, right? And so I went through all of these things, like there's this verse here. Let me share that with you right now. It says, "Therefore, be imitators of God as dear children, and walk in love as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us as an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling aroma." Amen. Like that verse, I could talk about that verse for an hour, but I'm not. It basically is saying, okay, number one, we got to be children of God, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to give our lives to God. We're going to give everything that we have to him, right? Mm-hmm. And so number two, I got, okay, so what do we have to do number two? What we're doing right now. We're learning about God. We're doing the hard work. We're getting molded. We're getting shaped. We're getting fashioned. Sometimes we're even getting a sledgehammer coming at us and breaking our foundation so that we can actually build on something that's solid, right? Wow. And what does God say that we want to build our foundation on? The rock, right? And faith and hope and love, which brings me to my second verse, which is 1 Corinthians 13:13. And it says, "And now abide faith, hope, love. these three, but the greatest of these is love.
Amen.
So I went through all three of these points. Love. Jesus, if we're going to emulate Jesus, we're going to do the same things that he did on earth as he did when he was on earth, right? So I'm like thinking, okay, so how can I do this? How can I do that? How can I do that? But as I'm looking at all of these things on my wall of evidence, what I'm seeing is all of the lines are directing towards one thing, and it's sacrifice.
Yeah, wow.
It's God's sacrifice. You can't think of anything without thinking of Jesus' sacrifice, right? So if you think about love, what does that mean? That means we're going to have to sacrifice a little bit. We're going to have to be a little bit uncomfortable to actually really truly love on this earth.
Right.
How can we do that in our own flesh?
Yeah.
We can't.
Right.
There's no possible way. That's why when Jesus died in Acts, when he gave the apostles the Holy Spirit, he said, okay, I'm going to give you a helper to help you on this earth because I know that you guys can't do it on your own. And I know I can't do it on my own because I tried for 43 years to do it on my own, right? So now we have this helper to help us to love the way that he loved, to help us to have faith the way that he had faith, to help us hope the way that he hoped. Because he knew from 12 years old, I did so much research, he knew from 12 years old that he was going to have faith. He was going to have to hope in the Lord to know that he came on earth to fulfill his Father in heaven's purpose for his life. That was his hope. That is his entire life. But that doesn't have to be my entire life, my entire hope, right? God has a purpose and a plan for each and every one of us here.
Right.
He had a purpose and a plan for his son. He has a purpose and a plan for you. Your plan is not the same as Jesus' plan, but your plan says that you're going to have love, you're going to have faith, you're going to have love, you're going to have faith, and you're going to have hope, right? Because you have the helper of the Holy Spirit on the inside of you. And because of that sacrifice, we can see all of those lines that I was talking about in the beginning. It all goes back to the sacrifice that God made on that cross when he died for us. So as we go into Easter, let's think about that, right? Let's think about the sacrifice that God made so that we can live on earth with faith, with hope, and with love.
That's right, Sarah.